Good day, Santiago Christian Academy. My name is Ranger Jennifer, and I want to welcome you to Valley Forge National Historical Park. Now, I want you to think carefully about your home, your living arrangements, and maybe your bedchamber, your bedroom back home. And the reason why I ask this is it's not just soldiers that are living here at Valley Forge. There are about 250 to 400 women who are following their husbands, their sweethearts, their male loved ones with the war, because times are tough. People had difficulty making ends meet. And so you might follow that male loved one and bring your children along. Children like you. So if you can imagine this hut here, this is about the size of your bedchamber, your bedroom at home, I'm willing to bet. And I don't know if you've got to share it with anyone at home. But if you were here, you'd have to share it with about all your brothers and sisters, if you don't have any. Add a few more. Family sizes were a little larger than average back then. You also have to share it with your parents. And 11 other soldiers for 6 months. Pretty filthy conditions, and I guarantee it's not going to be a really nice mattress in these things. If you're lucky, it's a lumpy mattress made of straw. So, but this would have been your home. Pretty rough going. But hope it gives you something to think about. And I hope you come to Valley Forge at some point. We'd love to see you. Thank you.
I want to take a minute while I was in the cabin like this to show you exactly how cramped it would have been. As you can see, they have bunks over here. They're not very wide. They're only about 2 feet, 3 feet wide. They would have been stacked 3, 4 high, and close, cramped living quarters. Now, this led to another thing that we talked about, and that's the smallpox outbreak, which Washington himself started a new program to inoculate against the smallpox virus. This was cutting-edge stuff, and it wasn't always successful. But you can see when somebody is sick and they're living in these kind of quarters, they're really close to each other. The chances of getting everybody else sick are pretty good. That's why when you're sick, you stay home from school. Well, that really wasn't an option for these guys. So as you can see, these cabins were built pretty hastily in the winter, and they were built pretty close to each other, all throughout the park.
Ranger Michael DePaulo here at Valley Forge National Historical Park, and I'm dressed a little bit funny. So what you see me wearing is the summer uniform of the Continental Soldier, but I'm a little bit different. You see, I am portraying a militiaman. So before the formation of the Continental Army, every area would have their own militia, essentially organized people that would get together to drill and to be essentially a fighting force in case of the Indian raids or potential, in this case, before the French. So the militia, they weren't, depending on where you were, they weren't as well trained, they weren't as well organized, and they were bringing stuff from their homes. Versus the Continental Army, they're going to have the uniforms and they're going to have the standardized cartridge box. And that's something Washington wants here at Valley Forge, to have a standardized army using one weapon system. Whereas the militia, you might bring your Fowler musket from home or a rifle, and that's the weapon I would have. I have a rifle, which is what I use the powder horn for. So I would use the powder in the horn with my shot measure to carefully measure out the amount of powder, and then in my bag here, I would bring out my musket ball, put down the barrel. And that's a complicated process. So it takes me a minute to load a musket. My rifle versus a Continental trained soldier can do 4 shots a minute. So it's very challenging for Washington to take people with different skills and then here at Valley Forge mold them to become the United States Army that they would be to fight later on in the war.
All right, guys, here we have Brigadier General Anthony Wayne. Born in Chester County, like myself. His fiery personality and military tactics during battle earned him the nickname Mad Anthony. Now, he was involved in many battles alongside George Washington, but he was probably most known for, unfortunately, the Paoli Massacre, or the Battle of Paoli, which was a crushing defeat for his men. He would later recoup his reputation at the Battle of Stony Point. After the war, he would continue serving in the military, and he would be responsible for putting down the Indian Rebellion at the Battle of Fallen Timbers. Here we have Major General Frederick Wilhelm Baron von Steuben. Now, when Washington entered Valley Forge, he had an army of militiamen, not the trained, disciplined military that he sought. So he relied on men like von Steuben here to train his men for battle. The winter that they spent here was spent training, drilling, and instituting discipline. When von Steuben took over, he immediately started organizing the men by company, by rank. He separated the latrines or bathrooms from the eating areas and kept them on separate sides of the camp to help reduce the sicknesses that were happening. And he instituted a training method that is still used today in the U.S. military, where you train one man, that man goes back to his men and trains 10 others, and they go and they train, and so on. And that method that von Steuben instituted here at Valley Forge is still used today in the military. Now, when they entered Valley Forge, they were nothing but bakers and blacksmiths and farmers, but when they left, Washington had the military discipline within his military that he wanted, many thanks in large part to von Steuben.